want to talk about one of the most interesting indie stories making the rounds lately. The developer behind Dispatch has expressed strong interest in bringing the game to the Nintendo Switch. Now, before anyone points it out, yes, the gameplay footage you're seeing isn't from Dispatch, it's actually from Firewatch, another atmospheric first person narrative game. There's a good reason for that. Dispatch doesn't have much public footage available right now, but Firewatch captures a very similar feeling. The same kind of emotional storytelling, quiet tension, and immersive atmosphere that Dispatch is known for. So while I'm walking you through the story, the visuals from Firewatch will help paint the mood that Dispatch delivers in its own unique way. For those who haven't played Dispatch, it's a psychological thriller that puts you in the role of a police dispatcher working the lonely night shift. The entire experience unfolds through phone calls, ambient sounds, and subtle cues, forcing you to make quick, stressful decisions while piecing together the truth about what's happening outside your walls. The game thrives on isolation and imagination. It's not about showing you the world, it's about making you hear and feel it. And that's exactly why Firewatch footage fits so well here. Both games are about solitude, listening closely and connecting emotionally through sound and dialogue rather than constant action. The developer behind Dispatch recently shared that they were very interested in releasing the game on the Nintendo Switch. They explained that the console's portability and player community make it the ideal platform for a story-driven experience. The Switch has become known for supporting smaller emotional titles, and Dispatch fits perfectly into that ecosystem. Its design encourages players to use headphones, get absorbed in the moment, and let their imagination do the heavy lifting. Playing it on the Switch, especially in handheld mode at night, could make it even more personal and immersive. Now let's talk a little about why Firewatch footage works so well in place of Dispatch. Even though the two games tell very different stories, they share a lot of creative DNA. Firewatch places players in an isolated forest lookout, communicating only through radio with a voice on the other end. You spend most of the game alone, surrounded by nature, trying to make sense of strange events through sound, tone, and subtle context. Dispatch uses a similar approach. Instead of a forest, you're trapped in a call center. Instead of a handheld radio, you have a phone line. But both games pull you into their world and through conversation and atmosphere. When you see the soft lighting of Firewatch's sunset or hear the wind echoing through the canyons, it gives you a visual representation of the isolation and tension that Dispatch captures so effectively through sound alone. The developer has said they're currently exploring technical possibilities for the port, things like adjusting the interface for the Switch's smaller screen, optimizing controls, and ensuring the same audio clarity that makes the game so immersive on PC. They've been careful not to announce anything official yet, but the tone of their comments definitely suggests that a Switch release is something they're pursuing seriously. For indie developers, moving a title to the Switch can be a huge milestone. The system has one of the most loyal fan bases for narrative-driven games, and Dispatch has all the ingredients to succeed there. What makes Dispatch so special is its ability to draw tension out of silence. It doesn't rely on big visuals or constant action. It relies on what isn't said, the pauses between calls, the sound of distant sirens, or the tone of someone's voice when they're lying to you. That kind of subtle storytelling is exactly what makes Firewatch a perfect visual stand-in. As you watch these clips, walking through the forest, talking over the radio, feeling the loneliness of another night on duty, it's easy to imagine the same emotions playing out in Dispatch's dark, confined workspace. Both games explore the human side of isolation and responsibility in their own haunting ways. Fans have been overwhelmingly positive about the idea of Dispatch coming to the Nintendo Switch. Many players online have said it would be a perfect handheld game for quiet nights, and others have compared it directly to the types of experiences that thrive on the platform. Games like Firewatch, Oxenfree, and Signalis. The developer community has also shown support, pointing out that narrative-based titles tend to reach a broader audience once they hit consoles, especially the Switch. It's a console that rewards intimacy and personal storytelling, and Dispatch would slot in perfectly among those beloved indie hits. Even though there isn't an official release window yet, The excitement around the idea shows how much impact a small story focused game can have. If the port does happen, Dispatch could easily become one of those hidden gems that spreads through word of mouth. The kind of game that players discover, fall in love with, and immediately recommend to friends. The Switch has already given new life to indie titles that focus on emotion and storytelling, and Dispatch feels like it could be one of the next great success stories in that tradition. So while we wait for official confirmation, I think using Firewatch footage helps us appreciate exactly what makes Dispatch so appealing. Both games remind us that great storytelling doesn't need explosions or elaborate action sequences. Sometimes all it takes is a voice, a bit of silence, and the imagination to fill in the blanks. Whether you're watching from a mountaintop in Wyoming or listening to a distress call in the middle of the night, the emotional core remains the same: connection, tension, and the weight of choices that can't be undone. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more discussions about indie games, narrative design, and upcoming releases, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. It really helps the channel grow and lets me keep covering the kinds of games that deserve more attention. Thanks for watching, and as always, game on.